Hello everyone, this is Weston's Weather. I was with another video forecast. In today's video, we're going to be breaking down the upcoming severe weather over the next 72 hours, diving right into it. With the day one outlook, you can tell we have a risk all the way back in portions of Canada, all the way back to like the Texas and Mexico border. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out today. And if we go ahead and zoom in here to the greatest threat for today, you can tell we do have a 5% tornado risk back here in North Texas along the Red River, all the way back into portions of Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Norman, Lawton. But an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out all the way up into parts of the Chicago suburbs. So we are going to be monitoring this very closely today. But also another big risk today is the hail threat. We have a hatched hail threat. Apple-sized hail is going to be possible today in portions of Oklahoma and Texas. Moving on to the day 2 outlook, you can tell we have a very elongated but broad severe weather risk all the way back into portions of the Ohio Valley. But the greatest severe threat is going to stay confined to places like Missouri, Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. Damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out either. I zoomed in yet again. You can tell we do have yet again another 5% tornado risk tomorrow, and a 2% outlined on the outside of that. So we are watching tomorrow also very closely, as we also do have another threat for some apple-sized hail tomorrow just to the west of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This does include areas like Wichita Falls, San Angelo, and Abilene, Texas. Moving on to the day 3 outlook, you can tell we do have a pretty large slight non-hatched risk. We might get a upgrade somewhere, I feel, over here to enhanced, or it might be a bit here in the southern corridor, but I do think that this will stay slight for the most part, maybe a small enhanced risk. Moving on to models for today, you can tell we do have ongoing thunderstorms right now, and I believe that we do have a severe thunderstorm warning at the time of recording this video right there. But if we go ahead and move ahead today, you can tell today we are going to have a cap, which is technically a temperature inversion in the atmosphere preventing storms from firing. And you can tell storms are going to struggle. They're going to try here around midday, but they are not going to get going and get organized. That is why we have dropped the tornado threat. Here overnight, we do get some storms that do pop off. Damaging winds, large hail, maybe a brief tornado will be possible today up here in portions of Michigan, but really nothing to be concerned about here, as the main concern is in portions of Texas and Oklahoma for today. Moving on to surface-based Cape, you can tell we do actually have a decent amount of instability up here near Chicago and Illinois, around 3,000 joules per kilogram, but the problem is we're not going to be able to get storms into this environment. Go and look at the significant tornado parameter for today. You can tell yet again, we do actually have a decently high STP. So we are going to have the chance for a tornado today. The problem is we don't think we're going to get storms up here in time, which is a good thing, which will limit the tornado potential. Moving back here into the central and southern plains, today we actually have a cap in place here in Oklahoma and Texas too. Now, the thing is we do think this cap is going to erode and we are going to get storms to fire. There is still a question mark on where they are going to be at, if they're going to be a bit to the west, if they're going to be more here in central Oklahoma. So there's still lots of questions remaining. The latest HRRR run shows some showers and thunderstorms popping off around 4 o'clock today. Those will quickly march to the east-northeast, and then we get quite a few supercells here. And this is what we are watching extremely closely. So you can tell this is one line. No, I'm not going back here. That line moves out and dies off, and we get even more storms. So there is going to be quite the line that is going to push through is if I were to take a sounding out ahead, like right here, possible hazard type severe, if we push it up an hour, likely contaminated, just a little bit. The storm's not there yet. If we go and move back here, storm is almost there, but none on possible hazard type. So we're watching very closely today, as there's been a lot of change in the models since 14Z right now and 13Z. Because if we look at 13Z right now, you can tell it really didn't have that many supercells. So there's definitely a change right there. If we go and look at surface-based cape, there is going to be a return of instability, and there's actually going to be a decent amount. Now, the question is, are we going to be able to get it up here to have storms in parts of northeastern Oklahoma stay going? Or is this cold front and dry line going to push them out and have them die off fast? Now, before we move on to the significant tornado parameter, storms are expected to be elevated today back here in portions of Texas and Oklahoma. But we are watching. If any storm does remain surface-based, a tornado cannot be ruled out, and maybe perhaps a strong one. Significant tornado parameter today, you can tell we are going to have a slim chance, and all the way up from portions of northern Missouri back through portions of North Texas. But the main tornado threat does come whenever we do get storms firing off. You can tell across this area where the significant tornado parameters picking it up. I do feel that we are going to have a corridor across this area that has the greatest tornado potential today. Alright, moving on to the NAM 3KM CONUS. You can tell today's storm system, lots of sporadic supercells, but they do seem to be more clustered. So we are watching if any of those remain discrete or semi-discrete. But moving on to tomorrow, you can tell yet again more storms, but not that many back here in Texas yet, in Oklahoma. But here's whenever storms start to fire off. And we are watching more of a potential derecho threat all the way back across this area from portions of the Oklahoma-Kansas border all the way back to the Texas-Mexico border. That will soon push off to it will soon die out. And the northern extent will regain strength and start to push off to the east. Moving on to surface-based cape. So today it actually has a decent amount up there in portions of Oklahoma. Tomorrow it also has a decent amount of instability before that pushes off. Significant tornado parameter. It does have it a little bit higher, you could say, around a 6.1. So that's why I think that we are... Wow. Just pulled a PDS store. That's crazy. Cat broke, yeah. Man, enlarged photograph. Wow, so today we are definitely going to be watching for a potential strong tornado in portions of northeastern Oklahoma. You can tell even the significant tornado parameter tomorrow, we are going to have the chance. So back to the video, now that we just pulled that sounding. I'm going to push this ahead some to the end of the run. You can tell we are watching this long line of storms. Another possible derecho threat thing is this southern part is not going to be organized. And it's going to be more like semi-discrete storms. So we are watching a tornado threat there. Surface-based cape out here. There's not much, so that's going to be a problem. So there's lots of questions for the day 3 outlook. Along with the significant tornado parameter, it is not high at all. In portions of Illinois, we are watching in parts of central, but still lots of questions remaining for the day 3. Moving on to the day 2 excessive rainfall outlook, we have a large marginal threat, along with a large slight threat, but we do have a day 2 moderate risk of excessive rainfall in portions of North Texas, slicing through portions of Oklahoma, into portions of northwest Arkansas, and through portions of south central Missouri. We could get a high risk somewhere in here. If it were going to be, I feel it'd be in this portion of Oklahoma, as we are watching a widespread 4 to 6 inches of rain, upwards of 8 inches localized possible. As you can tell, over the next 3 days, lots of rain is going to fall across this whole area. Widespread 1 to 8 inches is going to be possible, localized higher amounts, so make sure to turn around and don't drown. We could be seeing some flash flood emergencies in portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. Moving on to what I created, you can tell the severe potential today. I have a low tornado threat, a low wind threat. Now moderate risk here in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, and Texas of some hail, and a high flooding threat. So we are watching this extremely closely. So if I go to the watch probability, you can tell I have a low watch probability today with a low severe thunderstorm watch probability. Now the tornado watch, I have a low threat for the southern plains, so Texas and Oklahoma. Very low once we get into that northern extent of today's severe risk. PDS tornado and PDS severe thunderstorm watch are very low. We do have moderate forecast confidence, so chances of a watch, there's the chance, but it's a low. Hope you guys all did enjoy today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.